April of 2000, and I've been doing comedy for ever since then for 19 years now, and acting. About a year or 2 years later, I started acting, and I've been acting and doing the Blacklist and Power and John Wick 2 and a series of other, different television shows and movies and stuff like that. I just did the last I just did the last season of Ray Donovan. So
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
And around 2006, I did a radio show with Patrice O'Neill. We did it was a relationship based radio show that we did with Opie and Anthony on Celestial
That's
Radio.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was on Sirius and Celestial, and we were just doing like relationship stuff. And I've been doing that for probably since 2006. We did it from 2006 to 2008, and then Patrice passed away in 2011. Yep. And probably about 2 years later, I started a podcast called The Beige Phillip, because the show was called The Black Phillip Show. We called it The Black Phillip Show because it was like the Black Dr. Phil, the ghetto Black Dr. Phil. Black Phillip.
That's awesome.
And then my homage to him was when I started the podcast. Was called The Beige Phillip Show, and then I just rebranded it because with the gender fluidness and stuff, I started calling it Man School instead of the Beige. It was just the name was just very obscure, so it was harder for people to find me unless they were one on, unless it was word of mouth. People didn't really, you don't know what Beige Phillip is, and you don't know the explanation for it unless. Yep. So I call it the rebranding is Man School 202. We've been doing that for 7 years now, a little over 7 years. Never missed an episode, and then I started doing relationship counseling and stuff on the online and stuff on the phone. So I do phone consultations and stuff.
Holy smokes! You got a little bit of everything going, brother.
Yeah. Trying to keep interested. Just trying to keep interested.
So, tell me a little bit about. You mentioned some of your acting stuff that you've done. Talk to me a little bit about how you've gotten into doing some of this. Well,
it's weird because I get a lot of young actors who come to me and say, "How did you get into it?" And it's really such a, like this entertainment business is so weird because it's just it's a situation where there is no, like if you want to be and not to take anything away from being a doctor, but if you want a doctor, you have to go to school, you got an intern, you have your syllabus, from moment to moment where you're supposed to be at, and if you're behind or if you're ahead of the game or whatever. And entertainment is so fluid that you just really never know what's gonna happen, and you just gotta you can't slip the punches until they're thrown, but you gotta wait till the opportunities happen, and then you have to kind of wait till the defenders open up and then go out down the sideline. So it's very, the geography of the entertainment business is very unsure, as we see now. I mean, I have a lot of comic friends of mine who are actually leaving New York. I mean, New York is the mecca. You're either in New York or you're in LA. And
that's right.
You have guys who came from Arizona and Idaho and stuff, and they just can't afford to stay here. And so I'm really interested in seeing what the comedy community is going to be after this whole Corona thing is over, because people just couldn't stay. They just don't have the ability to stay. There's no way to earn money to stay. So a lot of people went back home. So I'm interested to see what the geography of the comedy, the comedy geography is also as well. But, the acting thing was just, I kind of have a look. And I had a friend of mine, a comedy friend of mine, who was like, you'd be great in for commercials, and he started sending me out for commercials. I did a Radio Shack and a Snickers and a NFL thing. I played a couple of bikers and this and that and the other. And and if they're not doing that, they're usually taking my rough exterior and making me eat cookies or strawberry, that kind of juxtaposition.
Yes.
And you just kind of go out, you read for the parts, and you hope for the best. I didn't really call myself an actor until I did Blacklist. I did 8 episodes on Blacklist the second season, and I actually got to act with James Spader.
Oh
And
wow.
then I was like, man, I guess I could call myself an actor now, right? I did lines with him. I guess that qualifies
It
me. I mean,
qualifies. Yes.
there's plenty of waitresses and waiters who call themselves acting. They've never done
They've
anything.
never
So
done anything like that,
right,
brother.
right. So it is what it is. And then so I just was trying to like with social media and stuff. I started I've been doing the podcast for about 7 years, and that really became kind of a thing that I started doing extensively. Where I was just giving advice, and a lot of it had the perspective of the relationship advice came from the fact that I was a male stripper for 10 years,
Yes.
and one thing you have to you have to understand women and their brand of attraction in order to make money in the business. If you don't understand that, you can't make that you just can't make that as a business. Now, granted, I was probably like 60 pounds lighter then, but and I was in my 20s and stuff. But just having that kind of case study of being in that situation and performing for women and looking for their approval gave me an understanding of attraction and how women perceive attraction and relationships and stuff like that. And I read a couple of books on behavioral psychology and instinct. I
Yep.
read a book called Sex at Dawn that really changed my life. Just talking about the instinctual aspect of attraction. And then I just started melding all those philosophies together, you know?
That's fantastic. We've got Dante
Mm-hmm.
Nero with us today. He's a comedian, actor, relationship coach. His podcast is manschool202.com. It's a show themed on his dating coaching with weekly guests, and you can also find out everything you need to know about this guy at DanteNero.com. And I like your Tyson shirt, by the way.
Oh,
That
thank
is
you,
pretty
man. Thank you.
fantastic.
That's
I've always
Fight
been a
Club puts these out. Yeah.
I've always been a big Tyson mark. So yeah,
Oh,
that's
awesome. Awesome.
so. Your podcast, Man School 202. Tell me a little bit about this. Tell me about some of the guests. You give us an overall here because we want to drive some folks over there.
We got everybody from Caroline Ray, Colin Quinn, Doctor, the doctor who wrote Sex at Dawn, Christian Dale, and we've had every comic from Andrew Schultz to I don't know, just Judy Gold,
That's
Pete
awesome.
Robinson, Godfrey, Jessica. I mean, we just had everybody. I mean, I've been doing it so long. I don't even. Sometimes I have to ask guys, "Did you do my podcast?" And they're like, yeah.
That's awesome.
But the comedy community is such a tight community because of the fact that it's it's just we all do the same thing from the lowest level of the open micers all the way up to Chris Rock. You have to get on stage, spit your ideas out, and hope that they're funny, and then hone them. So I think there's a camaraderie about that happens simply because we do the same thing. Everybody does the same thing.
Yes. Yes.
But I think one of the things that I learned, just from doing relationships, that there's different kinds of attraction. So I think there's an instinctual attraction. So a lot of times people say that, it's all cognitive, but I mean, human beings have been on this earth for over 200,000 years. And there's instinctual instinct that's in place because of that 200,000 years of evolution. And
yes.
What ultimately happens is that is part of the attraction. And then there's what you call the cognitive attraction, which is, is this guy trustworthy? Is he a great conversator? Is he interesting to talk to? And I think on a base level, women want women, and I even changed it because I used to say women want this and women, but I realized that since then I've counseled a lot of people from the LGBT community,
Yep.
and what you find, it's not necessarily male female, but what it is masculine and feminine. So even in a lesbian relationship, there's the more dominant personality,
yes,
and the more submissive, and the same thing is happening in gay relationships and so on and so forth. So you find once you identify which is the dominant, which is the more submissive, the same principles kind of fit into place. And one of the things that I've realized is that it's so much about validation, and people, most of us are not really working hard to be the best version of ourselves. And because
You hit that on the head.
right, and then so here's the situation. It's almost, imagine you're trying to sell a car that leaks oil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're trying to get the best price, but you know that the car that you're selling is not that great. But imagine you're trying to get more money for it. So the same thing is like with your personality.
Yes.
If you know you're not the best version of yourself, and then you're trying to sell something, you're basically trying to sell yourself. You're trying to say to a woman or to whoever your partner, you're saying, I'm worthy of you. But the reality is, deep down, you know that the engine is no good. You know that the bearings are
Oh
going.
yeah.
And so we have a tendency to you can hide that. I mean, some people are really good at hiding that, but what ultimately happens is, truth is, I grew up old school. I had an old school dad. He worked for the Parks Department for 33 years. And those principles that we always said was like, keep your word and be honest and be trustworthy and be kind. And, but that doesn't necessarily mean be a pushover either. And those
Yes.
principles are the things that kind of communicate your work. Those are the things that people find most worthy. I say this, I'll hear guys say, oh, this girl is out of my league. And I would like, what would make you think that? And they go, well, she's a model and this. But here's the thing. If you got a guy and he's got a six-pack, right? Or what I call the cum gutters, the obliques.
That's awesome.
You got the V over the jeans. That guy, a woman is not going to date that guy if he's an idiot. I know a girl, I counseled the girl, she was dating
That's
a guy
fantastic. She's not going to date him if he's an idiot.
Right. He's a male model, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't know pickles were cucumbers," and I was like, "You see, that is a problem." And so I think we negotiate. Oh well, she's attractive. She's this attractive, so I'm willing to put up with her stupidity, or I'm willing to put up with her that she's not really interesting, or she's not really that nice a person, because we kind of bargain off and we discount our own self-worth. And the problem is, when I get guys and I counsel guys or counsel women or you have to first kind of realize what your ideal self is, what you think your ideal self is, and then there's no magic bullet. You have to actually work on that.
Yes.
So if you're a guy who can't, and I tell guys, whatever's broke, you have to fix it. And it's not because you're not worthy. It's more so because you don't think you're worthy. So
yes.
it's almost like a lie detector test. You're never gonna. I always say, when all else fails, when you go home and you lay across the bed, and the shadow from the ceiling fan keeps whipping across your face, you know what the truth are. The truth is,
I hear you on that. I hear you on that.
Right.
Good Lord.
If you're not in the best shape, if you're not eating right, if you're not exercising, if you're not reading, if you're not interesting, if you can't dance, if you're not physically able to defend yourself, and all these things create the confidence to make you socially bulletproof. So you got to start working on yourself. And what you find is, when you work, and what I found ultimately is, when you're working on yourself and you really find that sweet spot where you know that you're working on being the best version of yourself, you step to people with real confidence, because they don't know you. I'm 53 years old. I know me better than anybody else. Now,
yes.
if I meet somebody and I'm interested in them, I mean, I'm married now, so that's not the case. But I mean, the concepts are still the same. I have to tell them what my worth is.
Yes.
Because who knows my worth better than me? So
totally agree.
If I really don't believe that I'm worthy, then I'm gonna sell myself, or I'm gonna present myself in a way I'm not worthy. So you'll see guys who are very insecure, and they'll be like, "Hey, just wondering. Maybe I know you're really busy, but maybe if you're not doing anything, maybe you might want to go for a bite to eat. If you're not doing nothing, if it's not, you know what, forget about it. Maybe you don't want to. But if you do, here's my number. So so what
We've
you're
all been
saying
there,
is
brother.
right. You're right. What you're saying is I'm not worthy of you, and she doesn't know that until you tell her that. So you're telling her by all the subtext you're saying and the context you're telling her I'm not worthy of your time. And so why would she think that you're worthy of the time? Now, don't get me wrong, you can be confident and somebody could just not be into you. But moreover than not, you just don't find that. When you find somebody, we all go, wow, I mean, people are so easily led when they come across somebody who they really think is confident about, because people go, well, I don't know him. I mean, he must know better. He must know himself better than me. And if he's, not putting up with nonsense and, steps up, like I've gone out on dates where, I remember, I was picking up this girl, and she was like 15 minutes late. And, I called and I gave, I didn't get a call, and I just left. And then she came down and she was like, "Where are you?" I'm downstairs. And I go, "Oh, well, I left." And she goes, "Well, why'd you leave?" And I go, "Because my time is important to me." I go,
Yes.
I understand that my time is not important to you, and that's fine. You can make that choice. But my time is important to me, and I'm not going to let you waste it. So I don't even have I have this saying, I say, you have to make ultimate decisions, don't give ultimatums. So staying there and then having a conversation about somebody, well, I've been waiting for you. This is not fair, and this and having this kind of. We know. It's always people. Well, you have to tell them. You have to have that. You have to communicate. So, every psychiatrist say, "Oh, you got to communicate. You got to." No, you know what it feels like for somebody to disregard your time. I
Yes.
know it. You know it. We all
Yes.
know it. The difference is
You
I'm
better
willing to
believe it.
bargain my I'm willing to bargain my self-esteem, because I don't think that I'm worthy. But the minute I go, I left. And she goes, "Well, why'd you leave?" And I go, once in a while somebody will go, "Oh, all right, forget it." But if somebody says forget it, that's not a person you want to date anyway, because she doesn't have any respect for you or your time anyway. So
You're
how does
right.
that ultimately? Yeah,
You're
so
right.
you end up dodging the bullet anyway by leaving.
Yep.
So but if you leave, I've always had a situation where the girl said, "Well, where are you at? Can I meet you?" Or, "Could we try this again?" And then every time I would show up, she would be on time, or at least, because I'm not unreasonable. There's always things always happen. What we're talking about is a phone call. Why
Yes.
would you set up a time frame and not even say, "Hey, I'm running a little late. This is what happened." I'm not unreasonable. So I have a couple of acronyms that I talked about. One is RFF, is reasonable, fair, and firm. I ask myself all the time, I'm self-introspective. Am I being reasonable, right? Am I being fair to the person? And am I being firm about my boundaries? And I kind of go through that checklist. And as long as I'm going through that
Uh-huh.
checklist, I know I'm in the right. And anybody that doesn't see me falling right into the sweet spot is somebody who probably doesn't have the emotional acuity to even be with me in the first place. Because the
You
other
are
thing
hitting
that
all you were hitting
right,
on all cylinders, brother.
yeah, the other acronym I use is ACE. It's authenticity, credibility, and empathy. So, am I telling the truth? Am I honestly representing myself in terms of who I really am? Um, do I have the credibility of my words? When I say things, I mean them, and I mean them. I say them, and I follow through. And do I have the empathy to see what somebody else's condition is? Now, I don't think anybody can argue that there's nothing fairer, more fair than that. And if somebody doesn't see that as fair, or somebody just wants to take advantage, or just not respect your time or or your boundaries, or then it's usually a person that you shouldn't be with anyway. But a lot of times, guys specifically will discount their manhood for sex. So if they think there's a possibility that they might get laid, they'll allow somebody to treat them any way they want, and then they, once they get laid, then a lot of times. But why be in those situations when you don't have
Yeah.
to?
Yeah.
But the reason why is because most people think, oh, well, this is an opportunity that I won't have again. And so I need to close this deal right now because I don't know if I'll ever have another deal. And so they're willing to put other people's friendship before their own. And the minute you do that, you're basically communicating to somebody that you're not worthy of their time.
I'll tell you, you are firing on all cylinders today, brother. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I've been doing it a long time, and I've helped a lot of guys and a lot of women, and and what's interesting is everybody thinks that they're so different. Everybody thinks they're so unique and they're so different, but there's a reason why we call it behavioral psychology. It's because it's the way that human beings behave.
Yes, Dante, you are amazing, my friend. We have got Dante Nero with us today. He's a comedian, actor, relationship coach. His podcast, manschool202.com. He's dating coaching with weekly guests. He's got a website, dantenero.com. And Dante, we will definitely have to do this again because this has been fantastic. You are
I appreciate you, man.
A fountain of information, my friend.
Yeah, a lot. I got a great. I was a bit of a whore when I was a kid, and I got a great sense of. I got a large case study where I can compare and contrast. But if anybody wants to get me, you can go to DanteNero.com. You can click on consult. You can book one-on-one time, phone time with me, especially at the COVID-19 because people are home. This is when people are really finding out that their relationship is shit because they can't get away from each other.
They're not. Yeah. This is great. Well, Dante, good luck with everything out there. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Thank you, brother.
All right, brother. Stay safe, all right?
Appreciate it. Thank you, man. There he goes, Dante Nero, and he is fantastic. And that wraps it up here for our interview segment. We've got more coming up on the other side.